Mike, who's going to begin the episode?
I'm happy to start it if you want to.
Yeah, well, Lewis usually starts it and you're filling in.
I'm filling in for Lewis.
Yep.
So here we go. 3, 2, 2, 1. Hey, welcome to episode 70 of the Luke and Lewis podcast. My name is Lewis Spear. Why'd you stop it?
Because I hated that.
Bro,
It's not
do
the
a
Luke and Lewis
smooth
podcast. I mean, it is the Luke and Lewis podcast.
what does he usually say?
No, actually, you know what? You fucking nailed it. I think that's why I hated it. It was weird. Like
I do know that every time Lewis starts the show, he goes, hey!
he does, doesn't
You
he?
didn't cross your legs when you...
No, he usually does this. He goes, hey! That's what he
For
does.
video listeners, Luke just for audio listeners.
For video listeners.
Luke just did
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a Hitler salute when he did that. You did like a
Did I?
Yeah, you were like, hey! No, I'm not doing it. I'm
My
not
bad.
committing to it.
Hey! That's a bit of a different
Hang on, you've
vibe.
played my thing. You've played my thing.
Sorry,
today.
that's okay.
I am filling in for Lewis today because
Thank you very much for coming in.
Lewis has COVID-19.
We think he does.
But
He doesn't think he does.
Yeah.
He goes, stop saying that I've got coronavirus. I'm like, I'm not the one quarantining myself at home right now.
Yeah,
That's him.
He's luckily skipped COVID's 1 through 18, which is really lucky.
Thank God.
And he's gone straight to COVID-19,
Yeah.
which is the best way to do it.
You came in and said you have the upgraded version. You go, like, boys, I've got COVID-20.
I've got COVID-20 and 2020.
Yeah, COVID-19's for nerds who are stuck in the past.
Yeah.
I'm on that future virus shit. It
Yeah.
makes you feel better, COVID-20.
Imagine being
It's like a boost.
yeah.
It's just like a form of protein.
How about COVID 2000?
Whew.
Yeah.
That sounds like you can fly.
Yeah, I know.
Because it just reminded me of the Nimbus 2000. It makes me believe I could fly. Dude, that was so funny how amused Mike was and how not amused Killen or Ruben were at that.
Why?
Like, you laughed,
Yeah,
fine, and that was
funny. That was a
thank
good
you, man.
pop culture
And I
reference.
appreciate that, like, that support, because Keelan is sitting there with his fucking AirPods in.
Yeah.
He's been doing this all today. He keeps going, what? Sorry, what? I
What
can't
are you
hear you.
listening to?
I'm like,
I'm
well,
listening
take
to
out
the
your
feed right
headphones.
Oh,
I
dude.
know if I do that, that will fuck up the recording.
How does you wearing AirPods?
No, but you can
'cause then
take them out.
The sound will start playing out of my laptop and then it will
You
be
can,
messy.
no.
Not if you just take
Just
them
take them out of your
No, 'cause
ears.
They're automatic. They can tell.
Are they really?
detect when they're in your ears.
Are they really?
So you're trapped. I'm trapped.
You have to have them in forever.
Yeah, I always wear them during the show. Except
It's
for
so
yesterday.
obnoxious
Yeah,
the way
it
you
was-
walk around with
Yeah.
them at the warehouse and then you go, sorry, what?
Yeah, I have to
What
say
was that? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. I was wearing
Yeah.
it was really arrogant that you were wearing them. Like,
How?
it's just that, like, since I walked in maybe 40 minutes ago, you've had the AirPods in, and I was like, is
38.
Keelan
This
like,
is
just
how
listening to music? Or
Arrogant Keelan's getting.
I'm not arrogant at
Radio
all.
Mike was thanking me for something. I did something small. He was like, oh, thanks for that. And then Keelan goes, you're welcome.
something? Yeah, and then I had to explain.
I was
I
like-
had to clear up any confusion because I was like, sorry, Luke. Was there any confusion that I was thanking Keelan? Because I think it was pretty explicitly thanking you.
Yeah. You were in a completely different conversation, yet you heard a thank you and you went, oh, you're
So-
welcome. And then just kept on going
Keelan
about your
hears
day.
thank yous and assumes it's about him.
Because it was funny.
That is the peak of arrogance. Isn't
Yeah.
it? You
Yeah.
hear the word thank you, like, oh, I must have done something good.
Yeah.
Well,
Keelan retorts.
I thought it was really funny, so I did it.
God damn.
And look
Yeah.
at you guys, you're
And that's
laughing.
your problem,
Yeah.
Keelan. You know what? Can I just say, sorry to interrupt, because I used to do something similar to what Keelan does on this show, and I'm loving the inverse power dynamic of me being able to shit on someone else on this show.
Well, this is what we were talking about yesterday. Boy, oh boy, the pecking order has changed. Like, since the old days, because, like, you used to be the shit kicker, and we were discussing on Tuesday's episode that Ruben tried to give Keelan shit, and I went, whoa, 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 you're in
Yeah.
no position to be doing
You
any
really
such
need
thing.
to earn your stripes, Ruben.
Yeah.
You don't get, like, I think, no offense, like, but I think I might be on the top of the pecking order of this show. now.
Hey, whoa,
I
hang
do.
on, how come?
I don't know. I think it's because, like, I'm not usually here. So when I am here, I feel like I have just the most
Okay.
power because I'm a guest.
Know your place. All right. I asked
you
you,
think, Keelan?
if you could come in, and thank you
that's
very
true.
much for coming in, and you were like, man, I'd love to.
No, I said I'm pretty busy, but if I have to, I
No.
will.
No, and I quote, oh, tomorrow, yeah, man, I'd love to be there.
I did not say
And
that.
then
did.
today,
'Cause I
after you
actually
walked
hate being
in,
here.
you go, I've got nothing on today, so we can do whatever.
You're not busy.
Well, I've put things off.
Dude,
to
no
be
one's busy at the moment.
here. Yeah,
That's, you know what? If someone says they're busy in the next month, it's bullshit.
absolute shit.
It's like, hey, man, busy what? Self-isolating. Like, oh, sorry, man. Hey, do you have a quick time for a call? Like, someone messaged me this morning, right? A guy named Cal. He's like, hey, mate, do you have a quick time for a call? Yeah, I do. I'm not fucking busy. Like,
I've got
what
a
am I
long
going to
time
say?
For a call.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, man, I'm swamped between now and August
Yeah.
when we're allowed to do shit again.
Mm.
Now, Mark, I did want to bring this up with you.
Yes.
You are going to maybe disagree, but I would say in the past, you've been a participator in casual sex.
I mean, I've had.
You've been a
sex.
participant.
I've had sex.
Casually.
Yeah.
Quite relaxed.
Like most of us, I have had sex.
But
in the past.
often enjoyed the lack of commitment involved with the sex that you have. Casually.
Well, I mean, I would say that I've been I haven't been in a committed relationship
Okay.
for some time.
Now, since all this social distancing stuff has come in, I guess it has been introduced.
Mm-hmm.
Do you reckon casual sex gets paused until July, August? Do you reckon the amount of casual sex for everyone, dating, will slow down? Because I don't know
Yeah.
what it's like out there.
I think just generally no one is like even interested. Like I don't know. I just don't think that. I think dating is definitely slowing down.
Right.
I think
Bad time for me.
It is
really
a bad
bad time
for
killing.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that people are just less in. Like I don't even feel like doing anything.
You're
at the
just working
moment.
on yourself.
I'm working on
I
myself.
get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You always working on yourself. And then also a few other chicks on the side.
No, I don't know.
You're
where
working on a bunch of
I
stuff.
don't know where this
You're a
comes
busy
from.
man.
No, I don't know where all this. I listened to the last episode of this podcast, and I don't know where any of this shit comes from. And also, the thing about your cousin, I didn't know she was your cousin until she told me.
Yeah, well,
So it was actually her fault.
how dare you?
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
man. Sorry, man.
No, you know it was I just forgot what I was about to say. I don't know why I have a job in content.
Me either, actually.
It-
Anyway, Keelan, get up here. Luke,
No.
sub out.
No. Well, I think the next thing I was going to say is thank you so much for coming in today
No, I
because,
appreciate it.
like, look, it was a fun episode on Tuesday. Keelan, Ruben, and I did an episode, and it was their first time front and center on camera and on record properly.
Mhm.
And boy, the novelty wore off after about 45 minutes, don't you reckon?
I didn't mind it. I listened to it last night. I got
Yeah, it was
I got
good.
a sneak preview of the episode.
Yeah, I think it was a good episode.
It was
We
a
got
good
lots of
episode,
good reviews
but-
so far.
Do you think that, like, you know, that we could have continued it on without Lewis? Like, how long do you reckon this podcast can survive without Lewis's presence?
I can confidently say with Ruben and me, we could do one more good episode.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
geez, that's not very long.
Yeah, but I appreciate the honesty there, Keelan.
I like that he knows that he doesn't have another good two in him. Like he knows that he's already pretty much maxed out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting in Lewis's chair, but I'm gonna say
You're a
I
gr-
would have loved if Lewis was here today. As a listener,
Yeah.
I would have loved Lewis to be here today.
You don't even want to hear this.
No, I don't even want to listen.
Fuck,
to
imagine
this
how everyone else is feeling.
shit. Right, sorry guys, I'm here again. I
Yeah.
said last week I wouldn't be back. Well, I am.
And I think, honestly, the dynamic of the show, I think I'm better when Lewis is here.
Right.
Like, because usually I'm not the one who carries. No, I carry the show obviously comedically, but
no, I know.
he really carries the show. Like he drives it, going, oh, next we're going to be talking about this. He hosts it, I would say, because he used to do that on the radio show.
He anchors it.
He
in a way,
anchors,
yeah.
I guess, the show, how he does the intro and stuff. And,
Hey!
you know, and that's what he offers, and that's great. Good on him, you know?
Yeah.
It's cute that he thinks he's bringing a lot to the table. But
Oh, absolutely.
no, to be honest, I miss Lewis. And I'm not trying to say that as a diss to you.
No. I miss him too. Can
Yeah.
I actually say a bit of behind the scenes? And I like just sort of dropping these behind the scenes bits because you guys, you know, you were fans of the show back in the mic days. Now you work on it. Great, big opportunity for you too. But do you remember? Do you remember back in the radio days? I'm just gonna say it, right? Cowardly put this out there. I reckon Lewis in the radio show days was never engaged with the show. Like he was always on his phone.
Did not care about the show at all.
And we'd be like, Lewis, what are you doing today? And he'd be on like Twitter and be like, What?
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Every time.
For about 2 years,
Yeah.
he did this.
And it would end up with like shit going to air that shouldn't have gone to air, like that.
Like me and Mike were like heavily producing that Modern Digital show.
Oh, yeah.
And Lewis was talking. That's pretty much all he was doing. Like he was there on air. He used to put his phone down when it was like, Mike's on in 3, 2, and he used to just fire off a tweet.
Luke and Lewis on Triple M Modern Digital.
Yeah, and then put it down, and then would look at me with these eyes going like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah, and like, I don't know.
And by the way, it showed.
Yeah, like once we were on the radio, and like Lewis was like, "I'll handle this pre-recorded bit. I'll handle it," and he ended up putting an audio grab to air that was just the song 500 Miles by the Proclaimers instead of what we were supposed to put to air.
I remember.
I was like, Lewis, how did you fuck this up?
I remember when he used to we used to do a lot of sketches on the radio,
Yeah.
and he'd be like, "Yeah, I'll edit this sketch," and then he used to put the unedited raw version. Like, so sometimes in a sketch, we might do the line 3 times to get the right, tone of it. And he used to, what went to air was just us going, okay, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. And the man went to the shops and like, oh no, I'll try that again.
Yeah.
The man went to the shops, and then Mike's scrambling, trying to
That's the
turn
thing.
it down.
Once it's on air, if it's live on air, you can't really, you either just go to a song, come back and explain it. Like, you don't have many choices.
Yeah, it would have been better if one of us just said the N word. You know what I mean? Because then we could have dumped it.
Yeah, then we could have dumped
But
it.
and that would have been okay, maybe not morally better.
Yeah.
But it would have been better radio
Yeah.
if one of us said something fucked up, then dumped it.
So I guess like when we're talking about the Luke and Lewis show, actually this might link well with something I wanted to talk about here. But when we're talking about Luke and Lewis, what you get with Luke is comedic prowess, but
Thank you.
awful syntax and grammar.
Yes.
I think we can all agree on that. With Lewis, you get decent anchoring skills, but a general lack of attention. And I know we've got a little run sheet here, but I want to just swap 2 things around if that's okay.
Yeah.
I want to go from Mike's major issue, I want to do later. We're going to do Mike's proposition here.
Okay.
So, and Keelan, I did discuss this with you, and Ruben and Keelan, I'd love for you to be part of this discussion if that's okay. Luke, you too.
I think this is going to be, I have a feeling, is this going to be a go at me?
No.
Oh,
no.
okay.
Look, second appearance for me in 2 weeks, co-hosting the show.
Yeah.
Is this your
Massive
4th or
opportunity
5th
for you.
episode in total.
I think 4th, there was one episode where I was doing what Keelan does,
Yes.
so 5th sort of, but 4th on camera.
You're becoming a regular.
Yeah, I've become a regular, and I think, I think the fans are starting to expect a bit of Mikey, and for that reason, I want to make a proposition to Keelan, Ruben, Luke, and Lewis, and the fans, the listeners, and I think it'd be great if we could all get around this.
Yep.
I think it's about time we change the name of the show. I think instead of Luke and Lewis, and bear with me, I think a better name for the show at this point would be something like Mike and Friends.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think because, if the show's called Luke and Lewis, you don't know that Mike's going to be there. If the show's called Mike and Friends, you know that Mike might be there, but sometimes it'll just be his friends, Luke and Lewis.
But I think the consistency of the show is at least usually either Lewis or I or there. So Luke and Lewis is still a consistent part.
and that's
so maybe Luke and Lewis and friends.
No.
Because I would say you're the friend that we're throwing a bone. You've got a podcast that's a little bit smaller. This is great for you, man.
You're
A
misunderstanding.
lot of exposure here.
No,
He's got a
because-
spin-off YouTube channel. Ruben doing his best.
We've got our own podcast. Excuse.
They've got their
Yeah,
exclusive
on
podcast.
our Patreon. People pay me so you can do your podcast.
Radio Mike
probably do
episode
better.
coming out next week.
You'd probably do better just doing your own podcast,
should have
not
just-
on their Patreon.
You should have just literally made your own platform and it would be more successful.
It's not good enough for that.
No, let's just do that.
And I'm glad we agree on something.
Luke,
Let's film on their time and then upload to our own channel.
Luke, I think you're missing the point
Mm.
because you're saying that the Luke and Lewis are the constant parts,
Yes.
and that's exactly why the name Mike and Friends is so apt, because you might get Mike, But most of the time, you'll get his friends. You'll
but
get
Mike-
Keelan, Ruben.
If it's
Luke,
Mike and
Lewis.
friends, Mike needs to be the constant.
No. It doesn't. That's where you're missing the point. The friends are the constant.
How
So
about
you're all my friends, and I'm Mike, and I might be there,
Sure.
but otherwise, I'll get my friends to do it.
Well, I think
How about friends and Mike?
friends and Mike is better.
Friends and Mike is probably better.
Yeah.
Friends
What
and
about
Mike.
Luke and Lewis, and then in brackets, and maybe Mike if there's a worldwide pandemic?
I really think my name
Or if
should be
Luke's
the
on the
main
Gold
name
Coast.
in the show. I think it should be Friends and Mike is a good compromise. You guys are my friends. You do this show. Sometimes Mike's here.
Right. It's a big call.
Yeah,
And,
but I think
and you're right, and I think I agree with your initial placement in the show, which was it's a big call up top
Yeah.
of the show.
so. Can we get a poll going on the Instagram? And
You know
Keelan,
what?
I think you look after this.
If
Luke
you-
and Lewis, Friends and Mike. Cast
I
your
have a
vote.
proposition for you.
Okay.
I don't mind this. I mean, only because if you can get a sign that's of equal or better quality, and this was a $700 sign.
All right.
So
don't
if
have
you
to brag about how much money you guys bloody make. Jesus
If
Christ.
you buy a sign that's better or equal quality, then maybe we can have a couple of episodes. When you're on, we can put Mike and Friends and Mike or whatever the fuck
Yeah,
you think
okay.
is good.
But it has to be a sign of equal quality to this.
Yes. It
All
can't
right,
just
guys,
be like a homemade.
patreon.com/Luke and Lewis, please.
Right,
Donate
you're
$1
not
a
using
month.
our money to buy the sign.
Oh, sorry. But I
Yeah.
just thought it's our show. It's the Friends and Mike show.
Exactly. So
don't we all share the
so
Patreon
start
money?
pitching in financially, and then
I mean, but like, how much? Well, this actually could bring me to my next thing, which is Mike's major issue. Do you want to go straight?
Yeah,
to that?
go straight into it. Because I have a
and-
major issue with your proposition.
Keelan and Ruben, I'd love to get Keelan and Ruben. You guys, you're employed by Luke and Lewis Inc., right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Sorry,
I know.
friends and Mike. Inc.
Yeah. So, Luke, I know this isn't your fault, but I also know that you can resolve this for me, right?
Seems annoying. It seems like a Lewis problem.
How does it work? Do you guys send an invoice to the boys and they just pay you each month or something like that?
Yeah, that's how
This
that
is.
works.
I saw your invoice come through,
Oh, okay.
and thank you for sending that through. And here's the thing: because I was away, I was not at work.
Yes.
I assumed because I
Lewis-
didn't know about the invoice. I did see it come through. Oh, you
That's
got
the
it.
invoice there. So
Right.
we discussed before the show that for every idea I bring to the show, I'd get $2.
Mm-hmm.
I brought 3 ideas. We agreed on a $6 payment,
Yep.
plus my usual $1,000 appearance fee, which I waived because you guys are my mates. So it's a $6
We
invoice.
appreciate that.
It's yet to be paid, and I'm just wondering when I can expect my $6 to
And
come through.
I apologize on behalf because I wasn't there. I didn't know about this agreement. I saw this come through
Yeah.
and thought, that's right. This must be an agreement that happened when I wasn't at work. Lewis will be all over this. And I apologize once again on behalf of the lack of attention that Lewis gives this show.
Yeah, okay,
because
so
I'm
he's-
often, be honest, I always pay you guys, don't I?
Yeah, it's
It's
Luke in
never
charge.
Right.
Lewis.
So
See,
do you-
people might think Lewis is the thing that binds the show together. Behind the scenes, it's me scrambling, which is why, honestly, by the time I get to the show, I can't be fucked to speak correctly
Lewis
because
does
I'm
have
tired
this
of
aura
admin.
of being like in control of the show, but I do.
Oh, he has a public aura of having his life together.
Yeah.
But I think even people on this show know that that's not true now.
Right. So I guess my question is, do you want to just, to avoid any HR issues, do you want to just all of you just give me $2 now? Do you want to give me 6 in cash?
Yeah, I'll see what I
are
have
we
on
giving
me.
you $2?
I don't know. I just think someone's got to pay me, and you can
Yeah,
all just pitch
the
in
least
$2.
you guys could
I'm
pitch
owed,
in.
and I
Yeah.
can see 3 mic ideas on the board, so really it's 12 with another $1,000 appearance fee, which I will waive.
Here's $2 from me, so we owe you 4 now.
Cool. So I'm owed $4. Thank you,
Uh,
guys.
Oh, I have
Luke's-
another 2.
Okay,
$4.
so you guys just
Two-
need to give me
$2.
$1 each.
Hang on, I'll just
really.
give you a 50, but can you give me change for it?
Yeah, I'll give you change. Thanks, guys. Paid up.
$48 back to Keelan.
Well, I owe Keelan $48. Cool.
So you really came out of that
I
owing
just took $50 out of my wallet.
$48.
All right. Well, those are two of my ideas for this episode.
By the way, you're not getting paid for that.
not getting paid
That
for
idea.
But-
That wasn't a $2 idea.
What was that?
25 cents.
Okay,
Because that
so-
was an idea about a previous monetary dispute.
So I owe Keelan
So I think that was actually-
47.75.
I would argue that wasn't even content, actually.
What?
I don't know. Like, it was just you bringing up it was what I used to do on the radio show. It was a personal
It was a
errand
personal errand. Yeah.
which you aired publicly.
But I just thought it was quite arrogant of this organization to invite me back on the show without paying me for my first appearance. And obviously, I'm happy to waive the $1,000 appearance fee. Most people have to pay that, so you're already getting a pretty hefty discount on my services.
Yeah, and if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
what kind of other appearances have you done recently?
Well, that's my financial matters are none of your business.
It's not, I'm not asking if they paid you or not. I'm saying what other appearances have you done? So
I'm
often,
doing an appearance on the Keelan and Ruben show after this.
right? And are you gonna waive the fee?
I'll give you guys a 50% discount. So $500 appearance
That's
fee.
worth it. Pay up. He's gonna be your first
Yeah,
guest.
we need guests.
So often,
This is the sound of appearance. My appearance. Lucky you guys.
so we were talking about Lewis a lot, and look, I don't want to stay on it, but a few people have in our Discord in the Secret Sound Off section, which you can join. A few people have suggested that. Sorry, shut the fuck up, me. A few people have suggested that perhaps, obviously, Lewis is going to be dead soon. He has coronavirus, and there's no saving him because he's an asthmatic. And if you've got respiratory issues, you are going to be struck down as quick as the elderly, which is not good.
Not good.
So I think the most respectful thing we can do as friends here, obviously, we've been maybe talking a bit of shit about behind Lewis's back today, and I want to stop that because he's my best friend. And I think the nice thing to do as friends, we're all friends of Lewis, would be to plan his funeral.
Yes, we are the Mike and Friends, and we do part of our podcast.
Luke and Lewis, and then occasionally
friends.
we bring up our friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
you're welcome. Say you're welcome.
What would a Lewis funeral look like? Because already I'm thinking we have to have an extra long coffin.
Well, we wouldn't have to put out many chairs because he doesn't have a lot of friends. So
True.
just us.
I might not even come.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know if Lewis
well, I was
died.
thinking-
I don't know.
$1,000 appearance fee, right?
Yeah.
well, I was thinking, yeah, unless his family's willing to cough up the appearance fee, would you consider?
I'd probably waive the appearance fee.
Yeah,
for
would
Lewis.
you consider
it's so
waiving it
generous
for the
of you.
funeral?
75% discount, so $250.
I think that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Cheap as chips.
Now, obviously, you would have to add $750 for your eulogy fee as well, though, so
Well,
it's back up to
Yeah,
$1,000.
but they might. That's an optional. They might not want me to do the eulogy.
Lewis often only associates, if you notice, with people of some internet fame. So I think the invite list will only be people if you're verified on one form of social media.
Well,
you
I'm
can
out.
only come.
I'm
Yeah, I
out.
don't think you'll be able to come. You're literally one of
These two jokers are out.
yeah, they're fucked. But you notice that it's like it'd just be a bunch of Oz rappers
Yeah.
there,
It'll
just
be
kind of hanging around.
Cursor,
Well, yeah,
Neil Collettcar,
yep.
someone else.
Frenchie might make an appearance.
Yeah,
maybe.
I wonder what his fee is. That'd be higher than mine.
Oh, probably about $2.50. I'll be honest.
It'd just be Cursor and Max Mofo rocking up.
Yeah.
And how too basic. You reckon he'd
he
come?
wouldn't.
He wouldn't come? Nah. What's his name? Remember when you said it on the show?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just say it now. You're
think
in
of
charge
the
of bleeping
views.
it out.
His name's
Oh, that's
He
a
said it.
scoop.
He said it. Now
We're
more-
actually gonna have to beep that because even though that wasn't his name, it narrows it down.
Yeah, but you know what? Now 2 more people know his name, and it's like a coronavirus. Now we need to self-isolate so we never tell anyone
need
how
to
to
forget.
basic's
It is.
real name.
But who out of us would be getting up? Say if you were allowed to come and Lewis's family waived the celebrity kind of invite thing because Lewis only hangs out with people who are somewhat famous.
Yeah.
He's just left his high school friends in the fucking dust behind him.
Yeah.
Who out of us would I be the one who has to make the speech, or maybe I'd be so distraught that you'd have to get up and speak on our friendship group's behalf,
Or you start it, but I'm behind for support.
and you
in
just
case
patted
you-
me on the back.
Yeah, and if you stop, I take the speech and I'm like, Lewis was a great guy. Like, I take it off.
I don't think it'll be like that, but yeah, you know, like
Lewis is
even though he did conceal an AR-15, he never pulled it out, and everyone's like, "Wow, we all
he was
knew."
a good guy.
Yeah, he was a good guy
Yeah.
like that.
No, I think I'd do a reading I'd do a reading from the gospel.
Yeah.
You know, Jesus said to his disciples, "Judge not, let ye be judged." Just something like that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
and then-
would you do a reading, Keelan, Ruben?
No, I wouldn't.
No? Okay. Well, that clears that up.
I think you'd get to the end of your like reading and it'd be very religious, and then be like, and now we're gonna play one of Lewis's favorite songs that got him through the
Yeah.
best of times. Don't fuck with Cursor. And then everyone's just sitting there politely going, wow. And then Cursor will be sitting there going, very touching.
The priest is like, all right, good morning and welcome to today's service. The opening hymn will be Good Night by Reese Maston. Could you all please stand for the arrival of the gospel?
No, but people only stand on the chorus.
It's a sad Reese Maston fist bump. It's like, I'm just looking for a good
we get him to do the second acoustic version, but it's like it's not
It's
as
a
upbeat.
sad-
It's all I really wanna say to you right now. Shut your mouth and let the music speak out loud. I'm just looking for a good night.
I miss you, Lewis.
And then
like that kind
and
of vibe.
then like Lewis's mum goes, whoa. And then I go, I'm just looking for the right time. And then it kind of, we pick it up and go, everybody. And then everyone starts going, I'm just like, because we don't want to, like, we can't be sad for too long because it's about a celebration of his life.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah.
And I guess, I reckon he'd like to have like little Warhammer miniatures on his,
In
Coffin.
tuxedos, like pretending they're at the funeral.
yeah, but we have to paint them on,
Yeah.
like how we'd want him to.
Yeah.
Man, I think he'd really like this. I think
Yeah.
he might be listening to this and going like, "Wow, guys, I
might
think
just
I'm."
die.
Yeah, he's set. Like, no need to. Also, I wonder, maybe we should call him. Like, if he does die, like, maybe next episode we'll discuss this. If he does die, I want to know what he's gonna leave all us in his will.
Yeah. Probably nothing for those two. But
Nah,
me
I
and
would-
you would definitely.
I
get
reckon
something.
because we've been friends for a lot longer
Yeah.
to Lewis.
Do you reckon? Because you guys were just fans. You guys were He wouldn't
Yeah.
leave you anything. He doesn't really care about you, I don't think. But he
That's
cares
not
about
very
us
nice.
too.
Yeah.
I just don't think he does. Like
I'll be honest, it's not offensive. I don't think he cares about me that much. I don't know if he cares about anyone.
I think Lewis cares about me. I think Lewis.
I think
cares
he
about
does
me.
care.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
was joking. I think he does care.
You know what was really funny, actually?
Yeah.
I messaged him the other day. Jazz messaged me that he was quite sick.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, man, how are you feeling? And he goes, why? What are you talking about? Why? And I was like, oh, I just was concerned about your well-being.
Mm.
But he was so shocked that anyone
someone
would ever
expressed
ask him
care.
how he was in a genuine way. He thought there was like some joke coming up or I was gonna slam him. And I was like, no, there's a big virus
Just-
going around and
yeah.
I just want to know if you're okay.
Yeah.
And he was just like, oh,
was
yeah, man,
stunned
I'm good.
by
He
it.
was so taken back by it. Where I was like, maybe we should fix something about our friendship if me asking
can't
if he's
express
okay.
Any sympathy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's again, I think that's a good reason why the show would be better as Friends and Mike. Because, there's obviously core issues with you and Lewis's friendship, so Friends and Mike would just be a better name in general.
I don't like the repetition. And I also don't know how you'll actually go in the poll. You know what I mean? I feel like there'll be a lot of people who vote for yours as a joke, but I think there'll
Yeah.
be a stronger majority that go, no, I actually just hate that more than the joke, me even voting for it as a joke.
How do you think we'll go, Keelan?
I think Mike and Friends, or whatever the title is, will work.
Yeah.
We'll win.
Yeah, me
Sure.
too.
Well,
Because people would just vote for it as a meme. Like,
But
it's
that's
just the
also what the
funnier
people
option.
want to hear.
What, Friends and Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? If we do
hang
change-
on. This is not a mutiny.
Sorry,
Okay,
sorry,
no.
Luke, if we do change the name to Friends and Mike, I'll make sure both of you get a lot of speaking time on the show. Because that's, I
You'll
think that's
regret
what-
that.
Can I
As
negotiate
a-
my guest appearances?
Yeah.
Can I have a guest appearance once a month?
I mean, we'll
Hey,
talk. We'll
hey.
talk. It's the friend. It'll be Friends and Mike.
Everyone, shut the fuck up. This is not your podcast.
think-
You're discussing a hypothetical podcast which will never come to
Yeah,
surface because there won't be an audience.
You've got
for it.
100% of the workforce plus 100% of your guest.
I think that
just
we'll also start.
fighting
We'll,
against
we'll
you right
start
now.
bringing in some of my friends outside of radio. So we'll just bring in a couple of my high school friends, a bunch of my friends, like just childhood friends, just so we're
Wait,
really getting the
That's
friends
good.
and
Do you
Mike.
reckon we should have Luke on?
No, I mean Luke's definitely in the friend. It will be Luke and Lewis will definitely be there, but it'll be a rotating thing of my friends.
I've
and
had
mine.
Luke on my show. He's not a great guest.
I've had him in mine.
Are you kidding me? This is what Keelan does on his show. He does it so I'm on every episode so he can put featuring Luke Kidgel in the title. If I'm not even on, he'll just FaceTime me and be like, hey, anyway, man, see ya. He hangs up on me and then writes featuring Luke Kidgel because he needs the views. And I understand that. So I throw him a bone and allow me to use my name for clout. Even though, by the way, not a great name drop.
Yeah.
You could do better. Like you could probably... I don't know. Call
could get
Lewis.
Hardman.
Lewis is bigger online.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Lewis doesn't even participate in Keelan's bullshit, even as a joke. So Keelan knows that I'm going to pick up, but he knows that Lewis is going to hang up on him.
That's true. That is true.
This
Lewis
is,
wouldn't even answer my call.
Yeah, I'm a nicer friend off air.
You know what, Keelan? This is all strangely familiar to me.
Jeez, I thought you guys were going hard on me behind my back. We're going way harder on Lewis.
I just remember back in the radio days, like the very early radio days, like I just knew Luke would at least give me a chance with my shit memes, whereas Lewis would shut him down immediately.
Yeah. I used to give you the time of day as a friend.
Yeah.
But as a colleague, I was like, maybe pipe down. You know? But as a friend, I would enable it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez,
Mate,
are we
Luke-
done with the roast of Lewis Spears?
Lewis wants to have us call in. To him.
Now?
Yeah.
Did he message you?
I asked him if he wanted to say anything, and he asked us to.
Hello?
The person you have called is currently in quarantine. Please do not attempt any physical contact with this person for any reason. Connecting you now. Hello?
Hey, man. How you going?
Yeah, I'm great. What's up?
That sounded like you, I'll be honest.
It was pretty good, but yeah, it was you, Lewis.
Have you added
What do you mean?
a heart rate beep in the background?
No, I'm fine. There's nothing to worry about. I'm totally fine.
What?
It kind of sounds like you're in hospital.
No, there's nothing to worry about. I'm just chilling out in bed. I'm just relaxing. I'm fine. It's all good. Don't panic.
Don't worry, man. We're not too worried.
Yeah, we're not. No one here is panicking. In fact, it's going really well.
Yeah, the podcast is
that's
great,
good.
man.
That's good. Well, the main thing is to remember to stay calm and just, don't worry about me. I'll be fine.
Yeah,
That's
no, we're
fine.
not. We're not.
We weren't that concerned.
We are really calm.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah. We did have one thing. So we're trying to be really good friends. Obviously, you're away. We wanted to do something kind for you. So we've been planning your funeral on the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yes, and we did want to know: would you consider leaving anything for us in your will?
Hopefully the virus.
Oh, that seems like a bit of a rude thing to leave behind.
Yeah, it is, but it is ultimately out of my control.
That's true.
I was thinking as well, by the time, my self-isolation is over, I should actually have a full painted army of Gene Stealer cultists that you could play Warhammer with.
Right.
If you're interested in that.
Yeah, right. So is that what you're doing with your time of self-isolation? Just playing World of Warcraft and painting Warhammer miniatures?
Fucking absolutely. It is great. I'm not going to lie. People are telling, we've got to self-isolate. You have to stay away from other people, engage with your hobbies, stay sane, stay safe at home. I couldn't think of a better apocalypse, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. You've been self-isolating for about 25 years now. So
I've been planning for this. I'm all sorted. I got 2 weeks worth of food. I stocked up on that. I'm all good.
Hey, Lewis, one more thing that we've all been discussing as a group here.
no.
We're thinking of...
No, we're not.
We're
We're not
probably...
thinking this.
Most of us agree that we're probably going to change the name of the podcast to
No.
Mike and Friends.
No.
No,
No. There's,
I don't think so.
Oh,
That's
no,
definitely not going to happen.
Oh, okay.
I think,
Sorry, guys. I thought we were
you
going
know,
to...
It's
your-
3 against 2.
Your fucking survival tactics, Mike, are really weird. I mean, most people are out here rationing food. You and Keelan have decided to ration girls and you started to share one. It doesn't make sense.
Mate, no comment. Because I went on one date with her last year.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just saying, like, it is a 50-50 population. You guys don't have to share everything, you know?
All right. Well, Lewis, do you have anything, any other news, any other updates from your quarantine area?
No, I'm just having a nice time. I'm pretty sure that I don't have coronavirus. I think I just have a regular flu. I'm starting to feel a lot better. I'm totally fine, and there's absolutely nothing to worry about at all. There's nothing to worry about. Totally
I mean, I feel like he was still talking while his heart was flatlining. So I think he just slightly mistimed the sound effect.
Imagine if he like full on died, and we're just like, and the last, like he just took his last breath, and then it cuts to us going, "Wow, good bit, Lewis."
Oh, man.
That would go viral if he just died
Lewis
right then.
Spears dies live on podcast.
That'd be great for the podcast. I mean, it would be the last episode, but what a way to go out. You know? I think even he'd rate that. Like, as a YouTuber, we're always chasing views, you know?
Yeah.
Always pushing for the next big thing.
The ultimate view.
Yeah, I mean, Logan Paul filmed a dead body, but laughing at one on camera, fresh. That's big.
And everything's being cancelled at the moment, so this show could get cancelled as well.
Yeah, well, that's what we were kind of discussing at the start. Like, how much longer can we do this? I think next week we're going to try a Skype call.
Oh, cool.
So we're going to do like Lewis and I, but in
and
different
me.
rooms. And no,
Mike and friends.
no, I think you might have to take that concept elsewhere and pitch it to other networks because
What
not
network
a lot.
is this?
This
Well, other networks.
Luke and Lewis.
Do you guys consider yourself a network?
Yeah, Luke and Lewis Inc.
Yeah, I guess we are a network of friends.
No,
And that's why we should be the Mike and friends.
It is actually, you're just saying that everything's being cancelled.
Yeah.
It's been so weird watching TV shows. Like, I don't watch TV that much, but when I go to my parents, they always watch TV. So I was watching Dancing with the Stars the other night.
Oh, yeah?
Now, already not a great show at the best of times, but without a studio audience, geez, you realize how much the somewhat atmosphere in the room is like doing the heavy lifting of some of those shows. Because it's like those late night shows as well. When like Jimmy Fallon's out there doing a monologue to 0 people, you realize that the writing is not that strong at all.
Even like The Project, like I was watching and they didn't have a live
Is it
audience.
weird without it?
It was just
seems
weird 'cause
silent.
You don't notice it. I guess you overestimate that there's like audience members laughing and applauding and stuff, and you don't have that, and it is really weird.
Yeah, and like especially a show, and it was cutting to shots of like Ed Cavalier and stuff dancing on the thing, and then it was cutting to these wide shots of just empty chairs, and like usually if a dance they're all clapping, and at the end people go woo, and Grand Daniel's like give it up for whatever. He's like, guys, come on over. All right, we're about to get judged, and then nothing happens, and it's like, all right, let's throw to the judges, and it's just silent the whole
Very
time.
eerie.
Yeah,
Do you reckon like in 100 years they'll put those in history books and be like, this is like the Dancing with the Stars and when COVID-19?
I don't think that's the best example, but I do think this will be the thing that we tell our grandkids
Yeah,
about.
it's like the Black Plague.
Yeah, like
More like the Spanish flu. Because the Black Plague killed like 50% of the population, didn't it?
Right. I don't know.
Okay, sorry guys.
I mean, this is the most.
Did it?
Did it?
Yeah,
I mean, we are.
Of Europe.
Oh, more than 50%.
You know what, man?
66.66 recurring percent, I believe. Yeah.
This is why this is a great dynamic because you're just as uninformed as Lewis as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually, neither of us know, and Keelan you actually know a bunch of weird shit.
I do.
Yeah,
It's my talent.
it's good. Well done. So, I was thinking about this the other day. It is definitely a thing that we will talk about, kind of like how when you talk to your grandparents and they go, oh yeah, the depression was bad. And as a kid, you think, that will never happen. You know, those old things of like, we had no money and we'd have to ration our bread. Isn't that such a thing that I never thought that would happen to me?
Totally. And it's funny because like the thing is my grandparents, like all of my grandparents would have been alive at least in World War II, right? Probably the same as yours. And
Yeah,
but
1945, yeah.
I asked like my nonna, I'm like, hey, what was it like when the war was on? She's like, I don't know. Like they just don't remember.
Really?
You know, yeah. Well, I guess that being said, like
It was just like normal because I think my granddad just missed out on
Right.
being, what's the word?
Conscripted.
Conscripted. I was about to say subscription.
Hey guys, subscribe
Conscripted.
to the military. New videos every
Smash
week.
like, hit comment. So he just missed out. So I think he was just
Right.
chilling, working at a garage, and he's like, yeah, it was pretty weird.
Yeah,
But I don't think they have a lot to say because they were like, yeah, it was horrible. But
yeah, yeah.
we were here, and I don't think anyone was that affected except for no one had a lot of money.
Yeah.
There was obviously
Well, everyone was poor.
everyone was poor,
Like, but my nonna, to be fair, she would have only been like up to 8 years old when that was happening. So I guess
so my granddad passed away a few years ago, and he was 92.
yeah.
So he was quite a bit older.
And I guess when you're 8 and that's happening, you don't really understand. You just sort of like, well, this is happening. I'm a kid. This is normal. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have
Yes.
a reference point that it's weird. So I guess that's she was just like, yeah, I don't know. I just was alive and that was happening.
Yeah, I just never thought, even when, and I feel it's so ridiculous. On record, I found out about this coronavirus, like on the podcast.
Yeah, I
So
remember.
for the first 2 weeks, I think it was just in China at the time,
Mm.
and I realized I didn't know anything about it. I think I'd seen a few news articles saying crisis in China,
Yeah.
and I still thought it was all that stuff that was
riots.
happening in China
Yeah.
last year, like the riots. So I
Yeah.
didn't even click on it. I
All
was
the
like, yeah, I know
protests.
about that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I missed it, because it was a different thing.
But to be fair, like it's
Oh, it was
easy
stupid
to,
that
no,
I
but
missed
it's-
out on it.
Even if you did know, it would be so easy to like just palm it off because like
Dude, that clip's still going viral on Lewis's Instagram, and
Really?
you can't tell when it's filmed. So all it says is he didn't know about the coronavirus, which imagine if
clickbait.
that came out today. You'd be like, this guy's a fucking moron.
surely there must be someone who doesn't know.
No.
Surely.
Really?
Some old dude who doesn't watch TV, doesn't listen to
Well,
the radio.
Yeah, I was talking about it with Keelan before we started the episode. It came out that the Big Brother contestants, I think
Yeah.
it was in Germany and maybe Australia.
I thought it was Australia.
So it is both Germany, Australia, but Canada doesn't know. Well, Germany doesn't know, and Canada doesn't know.
Yeah,
The
so
Australian housemates do.
there's people in houses on reality TV shows that have no idea what's happening outside. So they're just in there going like, "Oh, Stacey said this to me," and then like, I don't know, Graham's been talking behind my back. They're gonna get out and realize none of this matters.
There's a. It's funny. Sorry, Keelan, you
On
look
the
like you're about to say something.
Canadian episode the other day, after one of the evictions, they were all at the dinner table talking about how there was no live audience for the eviction. And they were all talking about how weird that was, that usually, unless it's like a surprise eviction, there always is a big audience.
Yeah.
Because it's a big deal.
Do you reckon they're just thinking, fuck, it's rating really badly this season. No one wants to turn up.
It reminds me of this. There's this TV show, this British TV show that was called, I think it was called Dead Famous. And it's about, you'd love it, Keelan. It's about a Big Brother house. And while they're in the house, there's a zombie apocalypse on the outside world, right? And they obviously don't know because everyone's dead. All the Big Brother
Yeah.
staff are dead. And then a zombie gets into the house and they assume that it's a part of the show.
Aha,
right?
that's a
And
good
they
concept.
assume it's like a challenge. It's a really good show. It's like a horror, but yeah, it was really good.
That's so funny. I was saying to Keelan before we started, wouldn't it be funny, like, I mean, it wouldn't be funny, but wouldn't it be odd if, say, one of these, everyone died, right? Say a hypothetical situation where everyone died and the only people who survived were every country's Big Brother house contestants. And all the biggest fucking idiots in society had to start a new society. And it was full of just people going like, oh, so like Thingo looked at me funny the other day and they'll have to have kids. And imagine how dumb, like we would regress as a society by at least 200 years if that was the case. Because there'd be no scientists left. They'd all just have fake tits, which you can't use for anything if there's no one to follow you on Instagram. So there's
Yeah.
literally no use for these people.
Oh,
And they'd have to
damn.
like make food and
Yeah.
they wouldn't know how to do
And
electricity.
they try to like every time they see a couch, they try to nominate people.
It'd just be
They just see a couch and they're like, oh, okay, this week I nominate Dave
yeah.
because he's just been.
It'd be
Looking
so
at
funny.
me
Like
funny.
they'd have to go hunting for food, and then they'd be like, "Oh, that's like Friday night games, right?" And you'd be like, "No, no, no! Like
Friday night
you've got to
games.
go like actually do something." They'd be
Yeah.
like, Oh,
Sorry, what?
it'd just be wild to me. What a concept.
I realized
So
that
that would be a good movie I'd want to watch.
that show I mentioned isn't called Dead Famous, but I can't remember the name. But
I
can
think
you
I
look it
read
up?
about
Can-
this.
It's
I
by,
think it's by the
it's
director
by a
of
guy-
Black Mirror.
Yeah, it's by Charlie Brooker, who's a British director who made Black Mirror after this.
I want to
don't
watch
remember-
that show.
Dead Famous is a book by Ben Elton that's also about Big Brother, but
Have you ever watched that documentary? It was on TV years ago.
It's called
What?
Dead Set.
Dead Set. That's
Cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched that documentary? What would happen if the human race disappeared? So suddenly everyone vanished, and
Like in Avengers.
just if just humans disappeared, and what would happen to the cities after
Yeah.
200 years? What would happen to the wildlife?
Ah.
And like cockroaches would obviously stay around. Wildlife would thrive essentially without us,
Yeah.
and
Of course.
because they'd all just be eating each other. And it was just crazy to see what happened. And like cockroaches would never die. Like even in like if we were wiped out
Apocalypse,
by
yeah.
a mass apocalypse, it'd just be cockroaches. And let's be honest, probably cane toads as well. Those things don't fucking die either. So yeah, that'd
really
be crazy.
times.
Crazy
And-
times.
And everything in the world is about it at the moment. Like my podcast feed was every single podcast in my feed. Like, you know how there's like new podcasts of the day. It was all coronavirus. And then there was one podcast that I listen to sometimes, which is called Plumbing the Death Star. And they were the only one.
They're still talking about Star Wars.
No, theirs was, their title was, How Would You Survive Space Jam? And I was like, wow, what a refreshing bit of content in the
I
midst
know.
of all this coronavirus.
We were literally like, before we started this podcast, we were like, all right, let's stay on it for like 10 minutes because no one wants to hear about it anymore. And we've done about
We'll do Lewis's
40
funeral
minutes.
for a bit.
Yeah, we've done about 45 minutes
How long
on
have
it.
we been going for?
46 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah,
God, I
great.
was almost on point
Yeah,
then, wasn't
great.
I? But what's Mike's friendly advice?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Look, after I was on the show last week with Lewis,
Yep.
me and Lewis kind of left, and we both realised that Keelan Ferrari Brown does need a lot of advice when it comes to, and this is okay, Keelan, you're a young guy. He needs advice when it comes to dating.
Yeah, and you're an expert.
I'm no expert,
No.
but,
I would say seasoned veteran, been
I've-
around the block.
I've been single, I've gone on dates.
Some people would call you a slut.
Oh, I
well,
don't know about that.
that's
What?
a very nice word.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
A slut?
Yeah.
That's harsh.
Is it? Isn't that the
I
definition
guess.
of a slut?
That they go on dates a lot. What? No, I'm not. I don't think that. But
Slut. Yeah, okay. A woman who has many casual partners.
Oh, it's not a woman.
I mean, just to not to be a social justice warrior
Maybe a
here, but I am.
manhole.
I don't particularly.
Manhole would have been more appropriate.
I think.
Sorry,
the
guys.
word-
I wasn't expecting that reaction. I thought you guys would
No.
be like, good call.
I think I think slut is a derogatory term against women who are
Yes.
sexually
Yes.
who like to have sex,
Yes.
and I think it's totally okay for women to
Yeah.
want to have sex
Now.
as much as men.
Now,
No, I'm being 100%
you a
serious.
woman?
I don't like the term.
are
slut.
you a woman?
I'm not.
Cool. You're a slut?
Keelan obviously needs dating advice. I'm
Yeah.
no expert, but
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a slut.
Yeah.
No.
Better eyes. I don't like that
No,
word.
I'm no expert, but Lewis and I thought it would be great. Maybe if every fortnight, I don't know. It's the Mike and Friends show. We can all decide together. I could just give Keelan a couple dating tips
Mm-hmm.
just to get you out there. And I've prepared a little package. Are you cool if we play that package?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, Keelan, listen up, buddy. Hey, Keelan, Radio Mike here, but you can call me Dadio Mike because every week I'm going to give you my guide to dating. And to all the single listeners out there, enjoy these tips and use them for yourself. So this week's dating tip is all about date location. For icebreaker dates, maybe try a simple coffee, a very easy date with a very quick turnaround. For something a little bit more fancy, maybe upgrade to a drink in the evening. Under 18? Not a problem. Head to Wendy's and get yourself a milkshake. And now to the ultimate question, who pays on a first date? Well, my opinion is you should always pay on the first date. It's just a courteous thing to do. Now, Keelan, I know you don't make much money, but that's okay. Most girls will like you for you. Most of them. Anyway, Keelan, I've got shit to do, and quite frankly, I'm sick of talking to you. So thanks for listening. My name's been Radio Mike, but you can call me Dadio Mike. Dadio Mike out. So yeah, it's just some tips for you, Keelan.
That was some nice reverb there.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Just a few little dating ideas for you. What do you?
In the past, have you paid for the food?
I've never been on a real first date.
Where
So-
did you take your ex-girlfriend for the first time?
Don't say KFC.
No. It
Don't.
sounds really weird, and anyone who lives in Frankston will know where it is, but we went to this place called Stony Point. It's at the very end of the
Oh
Frankston
yeah.
line.
Yeah. You have to get on a different
Train.
line.
We thought it was a really funny meme at the time, so
Ah.
I took her there for our first date, and she paid for lunch.
Ooh.
Well, you followed none of Mike's tips.
Yeah, but this was
But this was pre-Mike's
this was
tips.
3
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Hopefully now you are more knowledgeable now that you have your slutty expert.
So what did you get out of that? Did you learn anything?
I got a hand job.
Sorry, man. I meant what did you get out of my tips?
Oh right. Not much because that's I already knew that.
Well, clearly you didn't.
It's
Well, 3
very
years-
evident that you're struggling.
I've been talking to a lovely lady.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
And you know what I found amusing about Keelan's early comeback to the dating scene was he goes, "Oh, a lot of girls aren't matching me on Tinder or whatever it was." And then I go, "Oh, can I check out your profile?" And one of the pictures was just a picture of Chicken Little. And he's like, "Why aren't chicks matching
You
me?"
actually kind of look like Chicken Little.
I know. It's a
He
photo.
looks like Chicken Little.
It's a photo of Zach. That's a photo that
Zach
Zach
Braff.
took of me.
Ah.
And then I put Chicken Little next to it because I look like him.
I thought you meant Zach Braff, the voice of Chicken Little.
Is he the voice of Chicken Little?
Yeah, Zach
Oh.
Braff from Scrubs
From
was
Scrubs,
the voice
yeah.
of Chicken Little.
It
Well,
was just so good that you were like, "Man, I don't know why like girls just aren't responding to my,
I think the girl
to my
I've been
profile.
talking to actually liked that photo, and that's how we started talking.
That's the thing. I always said that to you all the time. I was like, look, it's honestly not the worst thing because it is pretty funny. Obviously, it's going to be very hit or miss, mainly miss.
Yeah, I
but
mean-
the
Mainly
girls
miss,
who
for
Chicken
sure.
Little's probably amongst the worst Disney films, surely.
is that a Disney movie?
Yeah, and it's
Wow.
probably one of the most forgotten ones.
I've been using as an icebreaker message like thoughts on Ice Age. Gets conversation
The
started.
concept or the movie?
The movie.
Oh, I thought you were just saying
Like-
thoughts on the time period.
Thoughts on Ice Age? Well, because of global warming, we're probably not going to have another one anytime soon.
Do you think that's a good one?
And
I
where
guess
does
so.
that
I don't
discussion
know.
lead? Do you end up talking about Sid the Sloth quotes?
Um,
You kind of look a bit like Sid as well.
That's not nice.
You kind of look a bit like Manny the Mammoth.
Oh, that's rude.
Yeah.
Big trunk.
I would say you have the diet of
That's
the
so
mammoth,
rude.
but the eyes of Sid the Sloth.
The sex appeal of the saber-toothed tiger.
Thank
whatever
God
his name was.
You didn't say the kid.
No.
The little caveman baby.
I did something clever last night. I don't want to talk about it actually. Never mind.
So why
No, say
why would
it.
you bring it up?
Say it.
Was it a pickup line?
No, so I asked for this girl's Instagram, but then I was like, I don't want it to come across as like really eager, so I sent a broccoli emoji, and that broke the ice. And then she went, love the broccoli emoji, and then she followed me on Instagram.
Jeez, you are really ambitious. Is that ambitious?
A broccoli?
See,
I
I've-
didn't even know there was
I've
one.
never been on a dating app, right? So I have no idea in this field
Mm.
because I've had 2 long-term girlfriends.
Yep.
And both who I met in real life because I've got a personality. And well,
The 2 girlfriends I've ever had, I also met in real life.
right, yeah. Now you're stooping to Mike's level.
Yes.
I was dating a girl that I worked with for some time. I
Right.
believe you remember. There were lots of jokes made about it.
There was.
So I have also met many girls
Yes,
in real life.
But would you say that? Would you ever consider opening with a broccoli emoji?
No. I asked the question and then sent the broccoli.
What was the question?
Like, what's your Instagram?
Was that the first thing you said?
No. It was
Oh, yeah,
part of
that's
the
okay.
So it's like
That's
an
okay.
unrelated emoji.
yeah.
And and is that you trying to be like zany and
No,
wacky
it was
and quirky?
it was just I don't know. My friend thought it was quite funny.
Ruben, have you dabbled in this area like dating apps before?
No, actually, when Mike came on the show with Lewis last week, he talked about Hinge, which I'd never heard of before.
They're
I've
just on
since-
doors, man.
It's the app that
Most
wants you to
doors have
delete
two.
itself.
All right.
No one
That was
like.
a-
No,
that was a
was
good
such
one.
a good
Come on,
joke.
guys.
Mine was way better, and you just
That was
totally.
a good one.
Did you hear
That's
what I
next
said?
Yeah, but the hinges are on doors, and then
Yeah.
you just said the slogan of the app.
All right.
And like you, and he always does that. He always says shit like in the tone of like it's a joke. But, like, it's
you know,
not a joke.
hey,
You just,
guys, yeah,
is that
it's
their actual
So
slogan?
yeah, it is.
Yeah, well
Does
then-
Keelan do a lot of like Nike? Just do it.
Sometimes I say.
He's like, oh guys, when are you gonna make us? I'm loving it. You know?
Sometimes I say 7-Eleven. Good call. When someone makes a good
Is
call.
that their slogan?
Yes.
Is that?
You know what?
Did not know I thought 7-Eleven's slogan was open 24 hours.
No, it's good call.
I had no idea.
Someone listening to this thinks I'm hilarious. I'm sure.
And that person, write us in. mikeandfriends@gmail.com.
Okay, so what were you saying about?
Oh, I
You
was saying.
said you didn't know what Hinge was.
Yeah, I've since downloaded it. Haven't set it up yet.
But you told me you had a girlfriend last time I met you.
No.
Oh.
I used to have a girlfriend.
No, so did I, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Recently
those were the
single.
days.
That's what I am.
Sure. All right. Let's.
Guys? All right.
I think let's wrap it up, actually, boys. That was,
No,
So
well-
you had nothing interesting to add on the topic.
no, I got asked a question. I didn't have
Yeah.
anything.
Okay.
to
So you
say.
haven't set it up yet, but do you reckon when you do, you're gonna be doing like broccoli stuff, or mainly just keep to hey, what's
Hey,
your name, or
broccoli one.
you already
Yeah.
know a name?
I will-
What is it? Not. What are you supposed to say? Hey.
No, don't say
No.
hey. I think you, like,
You have to have a line, don't you?
not a line. I just think something on there, they'll have a bio.
Yeah.
Right,
You
so,
need
hey,
to be creative.
And I love.
Pretty bit weird that you just used my cousin's name that you did match with on Hinge.
Bleep that out. Bleep that out.
I don't care.
I'm I'm Davina, and I am just looking for someone to hold my hand while I cry watching The Notebook. And then you'd say,
Something about the Notebook.
I've never seen The Notebook, but I'd love to hold your hand while we watch it.
Right.
And that's an icebreaker.
But would you send your opening line to everyone?
No,
No,
don't
'cause
have a
it's-
generic.
it's a-
Never have a generic.
It's specific
probably
to
my
the
issue.
profile.
Okay,
yeah,
I think that's your issue. Is you're trying to come in with lines and it's obvious.
I used to do that.
Broccoli emojis.
I used to do that. Doesn't work.
The broccoli emoji worked.
Yes,
Once.
But she
it
also might
won't
be a
work
newbie.
every time.
You cannot sit here and argue that broccoli emoji is a great pickup line.
No,
Any women listening
it
to
was
this,
an icebreaker.
would you reply to a broccoli emoji?
It
from
wasn't
Keelan?
just the broccoli emoji on its own.
What was it?
Have
I
you?
asked I said, what's your Instagram or whatever. It was in more words than that. And then broccoli emoji and said, whoops, didn't mean to send the broccoli emoji.
Have
And
you
she-
had any fans match you yet?
a couple?
Okay, and I know you have in the past because you
No, I
got to.
haven't.
No, match you. You've had fans match you.
Fans of your listeners of your
Just-
show.
yeah, people who know you as Radio Mike go, oh, is it you
Yeah,
Radio
but they're
Mike?
not fans. They're just people who
But they
know
know
me.
you as Radio Mike. That's
Yeah,
what I
I've
mean.
had
Do
that
they know?
sometimes.
Do they know? Have you had any people go, you Keelan?
Yeah,
Radio
yeah, yeah.
Keelan.
Yeah,
Right.
I've had two. And then I've had a couple girls I've been talking to go, oh my God, you're friends with Luke Kidgel. And I
And-
go, all
There
right.
you go.
And I
You
stopped
know what's
talking.
so
Famous Luke.
brutal? They never say Lewis, do they?
Yeah. Girls
Yeah.
just like you more.
No, I just
Oh.
think girls. No, I get a lot of girls come to my shows.
No,
It's weird.
I was talking to this girl once who was like, "Oh, I watched a podcast with you and Nebs."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lewis gets a lot of older girls.
Yeah, right.
Like I think I just get a lot of. I don't know. We had a very different crowd that we found out on our regional tour. We could tell the people that were there.
Yeah,
Mainly
interesting.
people there. Anyway, so did it help you?
Sorry, what was that? What
Did you being known from the show help you at all? Or would you say at a disadvantage because they know about your eating habits?
I wouldn't say a disadvantage. It just made me feel weird about talking to them.
Okay. Cool.
Because every conversation came back to you and Lewis.
Oh yeah, that's
and then
annoying.
so I unmatched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, thank you for joining us, Mike.
One last thing.
Yep.
I'm looking at your screensaver on your laptop,
Mm.
and it almost looks identical to mine. It's all album covers.
Yeah. So it's like I
Is
just
that drawing from your Spotify?
I think so. Yeah. Or my iTunes library maybe. I
Yeah,
think
cool.
I've just set it up where I can show it on camera, but
Yeah.
it just switches like a bunch of album covers when it just goes to
That's
sleep.
cool. I'm gonna do
And
that.
we'd probably have similar album covers.
Yeah, I'm seeing.
It's a lot of Green
My
Day.
Chemical Romance.
Bit ashamed of the Bowling for Soup one.
Punk Goes Pop.
Acoustic too. Punk goes
Yeah.
acoustic.
Yeah.
Bit of All Time Low. Simple Plan,
Yeah.
and the Juno soundtrack down the bottom. Actually.
And now we wrap the podcast. Thank
Yes.
you so much for listening. This has been the Luke and Lewis podcast,
Good.
episode 70. My name is Lewis Spears, and I might be dead. Keep it on. Keep it on.